Hello and welcome everybody to a fantastic episode of Was That in Good Taste? Today's episode is going to be super fun and awesome and amazing because we're doing a redo of our very first ever Was That in Good Taste episode, White People and Wu-Tang, brought to you by the apparel that we're wearing right now. I'm going to be one of your hosts, and my name is going to be Chandler Phillips, and with me, as always, is the other one of your hosts.
Just call me James.
And you can call him James, and you will. James, why are we doing this again? We've already done this episode. Why are we revisiting it?
Well, if you are new here, then you'll know for the first 2.5 years, we did only episodes via audio. That's right, audio only. And they're still there, but a lot of people haven't gotten a chance to see them. So it's time for us to revisit them. And I took some notes because I said some things were pretty interesting, and I kind of want to revisit because I definitely think that I was bowing to supremacy culture. I changed some things about myself. I said some things that I think weren't true. And now I get to wear Chandler's Wu-Tang hoodie because I'm a black person. I don't own any Wu-Tang merch.
You know, I actually got that at a concert.
Did you?
It was a really fun adventure for me. It was Ghostface Killah, Jizza, and Inspector Deck were performing in town, and one of my really, really great, awesome managers at the time, who we really bonded over me just being a young millennial cusper who knew Wu-Tang, and this somehow astounded her that she was like, wait, but you're white and you're young and you know the Wu-Tang Clan? And I'm like, gee, Wu-Tang is for the children. It's for the kids. And I was a kid at one point, and so it had to be for me. But so you went back and actually listened to the whole episode?
I did. You
took notes?
I definitely did.
I just got it locked up here. You know, I knew the bullet points that I hit at the time. I revisited the outline.
I also looked at it too. I
didn't listen to the episode mainly because I hate the sound of my own voice. And I think I need to get over that at some point. Eventually. But until then, that's what episode outlines are for. Before we get into the super fun breakdown of why we think that white people like the Wu-Tang Clan so much, we have a pretty cool cocktail in front of us that I want to take the credit for.
Wait a minute. You're forgetting something important.
Oh, what did I forget?
You have to remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It's super important. More important than cocktails. More important than anything. We cannot do this without you.
Did you just say it's more important than cocktails?
Well, think about this.
Do you think it's more important than Wu-Tang Clan?
Is anything more important than Wu-Tang? Mm-mm. Yes.
Wu-Tang is forever.
But we'll get there. So Chandler.
Yeah.
Tell us about this cocktail.
Okay, so here we have the Old Dirty Bastard cocktail, a.k.a. the Staten Island Iced Tea. I looked at some of our favorite cocktail guides, Difford's Guide, Liquor.com, Serious Eats, a variety of other cocktail people, periodicals, and whatnot, and none of them really had one that really encapsulated what I was going for and what I wanted to try. So I kind of took little bits and pieces of inspiration from a couple different things. So first off, according to Quench Mag, they did have an Old Dirty Bastard cocktail, and it was kind of reminiscent of a Long Island iced tea. It featured Southern Comfort, Captain Morgan, Absolute Vodka, and topped with cola. I'm gonna be honest, that kind of sounds like a hot garbage fire.
So it's like a headache.
It sounds like a headache. It doesn't sound too nuanced, you know? And so then I did a little bit of more digging, and I found the Suffering Bastard, which is a bourbon, gin, lime, Angostura bitters, and ginger beer cocktail, kind of as if you were to do like a Moscow Mule that substituted gin and bourbon in place of vodka. And so I kind of took these elements and just squick them together into this right here. So this is going to be a blend of Southern Comfort and Captain Morgan spiced rum and lime juice and Angostura bitters topped with ginger beer.
Oh,
and so we're going to give it a quick little sample, quick little try and see what we've come up with. Did we hit gold or are we just pining for pewter right now?
a sip with a little bit of sass.
Now, optimally, you know how when they have like a little, like cocktails will have like the little clothespin
Oh yeah, yeah.
that has like either a smoldering piece of bark or like a piece of pine or something. I think in a perfect world, there would be like a little clipped like roach blunt here.
I'm about to say, yeah, you should have like a whole blunt, just like it should come with one clip to it and a
I
little
would do-
holder,
I think if it were in I would do like a third of a backwood.
so that we could do this, like you could.
Yeah, you can like kind of hit it off the side and then take the drink. And I think that would be a really fun drinking experience. Because you've also heard of like, did you ever have people be like, I'm gonna Wu-Tang this blunt, and they'll like hit the roach and then just like and throw the whole thing?
I've seen that.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
that?
yeah.
I had someone tell that to me. I think like when I was, I don't know, 23, I went through a couple like real into it years of being a stoner and never heard of that terminology or of that thing. And then one day someone was just like, oh, have you ever done this? And they're like, and just fucking ate the blunt. And I was like, that's unsettling. It's like when you see someone fold their eyelids inside out for the first time.
Oh my God.
And you're just like, what?
Please don't do that.
Don't do that.
Icky.
Ugh, gross. But I think that would be a fun garnish for this if
You know what's real? I could see that. Something about the smoke, the tobacco, I feel like would really pair with this. Tobacco. Wink.
I think it would work best too with either a backwood or a white owl.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Wow. So what do you think
Take
of the
the white
cocktail?
owl, crack it,
Yeah.
put the right on top.
Yeah. Oh, just sprinkle.
So as you're drinking it, you get like little pieces in your mouth. This is delectable. It's delicious. It's refreshing. The spice from the Captain Morgan is really working for me. I'm feeling the what is it again?
The ginger beer?
No, not the ginger beer.
The Southern Comfort?
The Southern Comfort. I haven't had Southern Comfort in a while.
So
It's giving a lot of body.
the fun ingredient of Southern Comfort is the peach.
Yeah.
And so the peach with the ginger is definitely doing something for me.
Jamaica's Choice ginger beer.
And the Angostura bitters, I feel like just kind of helps bolster everything and give it all like a nice even body to kind of keep it even keeled.
And be
through
real,
the cocktail.
that Jamaica's Choice ginger beer is it. Mainly because it's so
Yeah.
sweet and it's so gingery that drinking it straight is not really for me. But when you put it into a booze heavy cocktail like this, it adds the correct amount of sweetness.
And I think that would be the preferred ginger beer over our usual go-to, which would be like Fever Tree or something like that.
Or Goslings.
Goslings is another good one, but this one, I don't know. I feel like the sweetness and the spice have just kind of everything's all working so synergistic. It's like there's so many unique and interesting members in the group right here that it's really just super palatable and approaching, and it allows you to kind of connect with it in a way that some of the more like solo focused or even just duo kind of drinks just don't really grasp,
I also feel like ODB would like this without the Angostura bitters. Imagine you put a little Captain Morgan splash, a little bit of Southern Comfort, and hit it with the cheap Jamaica's Choice ginger beer. Used to be 85 cents.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And just throw that in there. If you have ice, easy peasy, delicious.
Shimmy yeah.
This is good. This is delectable. Oh my God.
Big fan. I'm proud of this. I would serve this.
You know what? This is going on the menu.
Sweet. We'll call it the Brooklyn Zoo. Or I still like Staten Island.
ODB is from over here though, right?
I think he is.
Yeah, because there's the gigantic mural of him.
Yeah.
So I think.
Is he from here or is he from Staten
Well,
Island?
no, he's not from here.
The Wu-Tang Clan is from Staten Island.
Yeah, he's
as
not
a
from
collective.
here. He's from not that far from here.
Wait, he didn't grow up in this apartment? He is not from these walls?
No, Biggie is,
If
but not ODB and
Bummer.
KRS-One
KRS-One's from here?
across the street.
Oh, that's actually pretty sad. I did not know that one.
Yeah, Spike Lee around the corner.
I think I've seen Spike Lee in this
No,
neighborhood.
100. Oh, because his thing is still over there. This is delectable. This is delicious, and I feel like this right here is this the modern soul of the Wu-Tang Clan, a clan that's been co-opted and taken over by whiteness, by supremacy culture. That's white. That's white. That's right. White people love Wu-Tang.
It's true.
And
It's
you can
true.
tell because I don't own one Wu-Tang hoodie at all.
Do you have
This is Chandler's.
Do you have any like hip hop hoodies though? Like, okay,
I don't really own hoodies with bands on them. I only own one time because who wears band stuff?
Can we do like a quick montage of how many times you've worn a Say Anything?
Because I own the two Say Anything hoodies and I've been wearing them for 5 years. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't buy new ones.
Well, okay, so that's the only band hoodie.
I had
that
another
have.
band hoodie, but they assaulted somebody and were homophobic and like trafficked a child. So
Oh,
okay, I don't wear the Dior hoodies anymore, and I learned my lesson.
yeah.
I learned my lesson. No more
Yikes.
wearing hoodies. No more. It's funny. You saw Jizza and
Ghostface
Ghostface Killer.
and Inspect the Deck.
I saw Jizza, Inspect the Deck, and somebody else in Philly. Remember, I wrote you.
Oh yeah, was it? It wasn't Ghostface.
No, I don't think it was Ghostface, but it was definitely Jizza.
Was it You God?
Maybe. There's so many members.
Was it Raekwon the chef?
It was not Raekwon. If it was Raekwon, I would have definitely remembered.
Was it the RZA?
It was not the RZA because I wouldn't have left.
Was it Method Man?
It was definitely not Method Man.
Was it Red Man?
It was definitely not Red Man. No, it was definitely Jizza, Inspect the Deck, and somebody else. I don't know. But yeah, I don't own a single.
I think I covered all of them.
Yeah.
At least all of the main ones.
All the main ones. I don't own any Wu-Tang stuff because white people love Wu-Tang, and so we're here.
You just have to, I'm so separate from whiteness that I can't possibly.
Black people like Wu-Tang too, but white people have this extra. But you know what? When we first did an episode about this, I had a more negative, I think, opinion about it, and I've changed my mind.
What was your initial take?
My initial take. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff. Oh my God. I said a bunch of things. One, I said I don't listen to a lot of hip hop, which is a lie. I said I don't know anything about hip hop, which is also a lie. I just don't know a lot about Wu-Tang. Not because of anything other than the fact that I am too young for that, but yet somehow you know about them. And I think it's because you're white. I'm not trying to say nothing, okay? But I just, I don't know about Wu-Tang that much, okay?
Well, and I mean,
I do, but not.
You were a kid when they were popular.
Yes, I was literally a fucking child.
Or not even when they were coming up.
Mm-hmm. And I did know some of the songs.
Yeah, so like you were aware of them, but you weren't really into it. Whereas like by the time I found out and was like, they had a whole discography and lore and like a whole trove of things to get into to obsess and hyperfixate on, so that like there was a lot more content for me to explore by the time I got to a point where I was like, oh, this is cool, and now there's so much coolness to look at. But I think what really kind of comes down to the heart of it is Wu-Tang Clan is a boy band, and and mainstream music listeners love a boy band.
But it is a boy band.
Yeah.
I mean, here I go again with the K-pop. But you look at K-pop. K-pop, where did it come from? K-pop came from Korean artists seeing groups like Wu-Tang.
Like Wu-Tang or
Yes.
like Backstreet Boys?
No, like Wu-Tang.
Oh.
I'm not joking. Like Wu-Tang in America. So they made groups and they kind of did like hip-hop R&B. You know what I mean? But they're Korean, so it evolved into like more pop, which is why there is that vein of hip hop and R&B in K-pop. They were
that makes
absolutely,
sense.
without exaggeration, you look up the history yourself, the very first K-pop group was a group of boys, of guys, and they were rapping. Okay.
Is it really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes, that's 100% the history. You know, if you don't believe me, be mad at me in the comment section, but it's the truth. And it makes sense, right? You know what I mean? Because, you know, I think that at the time hip hop was really, really, really blowing up. It was starting to like get that true acclaim. It was coming pop culture. And having a group of like 7 people, you know,
or more.
I think that was like something that was like super crazy, super special. And the main reason I always say I don't like or know Wu-Tang is because I have ADHD. Me and lyrics is tenuous. It's tenuous, man. You know what I'm saying? If you played a song, I'd be like, oh shit, yeah, you know, protect you. I know every word.
It's true.
But if you ask me,
you just over your head,
through my head, out the other side.
I think the fact that they were a boy band made it so that like the mainstream listener audience could enjoy the music, but also be like, oh, he's the cool one, but he's the smart one, but he's like the historical one, and he's like the woke one, but he's the fun one, and he's like the hostile one. And like they each kind of have their little own personas that then you can project onto yourself and feel like you're a part of it. Like the RZA, he's the razor, and so like he's always on point, he's sharp, he's like he's quick with it, and he's like he's got shit to say. The Jizza, he's the genius, you know? So like he's making these beats, and he's making all these connections, and he's like getting real kind of like meta with his lyricism. And then you got like Raekwon, and they're like they're more intense, you know? They're a little bit more like in your face. And then you got like Ghostface, who's like
the killer.
He's the killer. He's the muscle. He's you know the what's the word that we would use now that used to mean goon? Because it's not.
He is a goon, but no, they like, still say that it's like he's a goon.
Gets
out of prison.
He's the shit disturber.
I'm the top goon.
I'm the biggest gooner in the yard.
It's so funny because I think a lot of what you're saying is very true, except the personalities were not put-ons, right? Mm-hmm. ODB, I think there was a lot of connection with him. People loved him. He was a very creative person, but his volatile kind of personality was very genuine, right? It was very him. Obviously, it affected him. You know, it led to a young death in his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that kind of, it's genuine. You know what I mean? It's very genuine.
Well, and I think that was reflected in the music, and also what attributed to their appeal was there was a realness that was coupled with a fantastical element.
Yeah. It was versatile. It was very modern, and you would say to yourself, but like, it's hip hop, of course. No. Like, you're thinking about hip hop now. You're thinking about Kendrick Lamar and you're thinking about like all these people and how they do samples and stuff like that. Back then, this is like in the trenches, and they were doing a kind of modern hip hop. You know what I mean? They were doing very interesting samples. They were mixing their flows. Each person had their own individual aspect that they brought to the collective as a whole.
And it's like, even though they were a group, they never broke up the group. Like, they all did their like solo adventures and stuff, but they were always the Wu-Tang Clan. This is actually, you ever watch the movie Pop Star with the Lonely Island?
No.
Fantastic movie, but one of the like kind of silly jokes in it that they were doing, they were like, you know, we were the style boys, and you know, like, we broke up because we had creative differences and stuff, but you know, just because we broke up doesn't mean we ever stopped being the style boys. It's like the Wu-Tang Clan, like they went and did Liquid Swords, but they were still the Wu-Tang Clan, or they went and did Triumph, but they were still the Wu-Tang Clan. And then they just kept listing like solo albums from different Wu-Tang members, and they were like, but they were still the Wu-Tang Clan. But like, there's no NSYNC now. Like, NSYNC could try to do a reunion tour, but it wouldn't be in sync. It would be out of sync.
what I think is different is that, like, it wasn't a supergroup the way you would think of supergroups today in a modern sense. It was a supergroup in that a lot of people who were extremely talented got together, and part of their creativity allowed them to like make different albums, right? And so since they were doing that from the beginning,
they were always just kind of making their own shit, and then they came together for 36 Chambers and were like, oh, this shit is hot, and what if we just put like 5 dudes per track, and it made magic happen, and it was fun. I think that was part of it too, was you could tell that these guys were having fun making music.
And there've been a lot of groups that have tried that, like super groups. There was one with Nas. I cannot remember who it was anymore, but it was like Nas and 2 other people who are really big. I bet you somebody out there is like, oh, it was Nas, and it's literally Nas and 2 other people. What happened was, at the time, like Nas was the biggest star. So that caused problems. So the album wasn't very good. That's the kind of thing that happens when you try to create a supergroup. There's something to be said about creating something that's like natural and something that's organic. But so here's the thing. When we first did an episode about this, there's a few things. One, it was the first episode we did together. We were also feeling each other out, right? We spoke
feeling each other out
for the first half an hour. We were just like talking and like kind of catching up. I feel like I never really got to get to the real point, which is that the obsession that white men seem to have with Wu-Tang is only odd, not because black people don't like Wu-Tang, right? Black people love Wu-Tang. I do love Wu-Tang, but like, it's not my identity. I'm no offense, but I don't have 2 Wu-Tang shirts. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, in my defense, that one was a gift. This one I got for myself because look how cute I am in it.
And this is what he wore during that first episode too.
It's so cute.
So at least you have the same goddamn hoodie. Sweater.
That's true. Also, I want to point out that I think another aspect of why white men love the Wu-Tang Clan is because if you listen to the songs and the samples, the members of the Wu-Tang Clan, as cool as they are dorks. Like, they are into some nerdy shit. And at the time, and even kind of subsequently following, the type of shit that they were into was not mainstream cool. Like, it didn't necessarily have it didn't fall in line with the same type of machismo and bravado and like the style of coolness that was more associated with blackness, I think.
Yeah. So you're talking about that adjacency that is perceived of supremacy culture, of white culture. It is not like, I'm not trying to say that Wu-Tang was being white. That's not at all. But it's that when you look at black people and you look at the culture and you look at the people, you perceive and expect something, right? And there's something about Wu-Tang that subverted that, which is why they were so popular, which is why they have such a broad audience, despite the actual lyrics, the content and creation of their music being very earnest.
Yeah.
And being very black, just being, how black people were making music at the time. It's just that they were like nerdy, and seeing people in pop culture who were black, who created music, but also you could identify with them, right? Because that's the big thing. It's being able to identify with the artists. We were talking about Kendrick Lamar earlier. If you were being around, you've seen the Super Bowl halftime show. And a lot of people have had opinions about it, both positive and negative. But the negative opinions always come from a lack of connection with black culture. If you say you don't like hip hop music, if you don't like rap, it tends to be you don't like rap because you don't consume black media. You don't know black people. You aren't exposed to black culture. So, I had somebody be like, oh, I didn't understand what you were saying, but and I said, oh, well, you understand like these bands? And they were like, yeah, I can understand Dying Fetus the first time. No, you can't. And I know that because I listen to those bands. You don't. It takes time and cultural understanding and adjacency.
I didn't even know what Bohemian Rhapsody was talking about the first time I listened to it. So anything, you have to come at it with a certain intention, but also a certain but like you have to have a certain openness to feel what the music is telling without needing there's a non-verbal aspect that is, it's just vibes, and you can pick up on just vibes if you open yourself to trying to understand said vibes.
But can you if you don't know any black people?
Well,
but can you if you never consume any? And you think, oh, who cares about books written by black people? Because even if you don't know it, if you read one book, if you read The Bluest Eye, if you read The Bluest Eye once, you listen to a hip hop song, if you look at the lyrics, you'll kind of get it.
Yeah. Well, and I remember that's what one of the talking points I had in the first episode was. One of the things that really drew me into listening to the Wu-Tang Clan was it was very grounded and real in that it gave some insight into the black experience and how different it was from really anything I'd experienced. And so like I'd listen to Wu-Tang Clan and a lot of New York hip hop to just kind of get this like porthole view into a world that wasn't the one that was being painted in front of me. It kind of drew the first, openings of disillusion.
Here's a real question. I never asked you this before because this is very connected, right? How many, like, before you came to New York, I don't know this. Like, did you have a ton of black friends? And I don't mean just like maybe like, Hispanic or Latin or, like how many black friends did you have? I'm curious about that.
I mean, it was a non-zero number.
I only ask because I think that, before I'd met you and, I had very few.
It's really, there are a handful of people that I would be like, yeah, we're friends. But then part of me is like, do they think we're friends? Or were we just classmates? And I think we were friends.
I'm sure
I hope we were friends. I thought of you guys as friends.
Is you guys? What, you guys? What guys? No, I ask because when I met you, I feel like you were always pretty comfortable, and I always felt comfortable around you.
Oh,
and I find that that comes with adjacency of being around just black people. And not because white people are inherently dangerous or unsafe. I mean, obviously systemic racism, supremacy culture persists and is bad, but it's mainly because if you don't spend time around people, that can affect the way that you view them. And the difference is that if you're a black person and you watch media, listen to music, it's white people in it. Right. Yeah. So you immediately understand how to interact with white people.
But also I'll mind you that I was a middle class suburban Jewish kid who,
oh, he's Jewish. Here we go.
Of course I'm gonna be the arbiter of blackness. And like I've had to do the research. I didn't just grow up in the culture. I had to do some digging. I had to educate myself.
Who do you think's more Jewish, you or Drake?
He actually
definitely he had a bar mitzvah. He got bar mitzvah. I'm just saying.
That's how I know Drake should have and deservedly lost.
Before we continue, real quick, Saint Ides. When we first did this episode, we did call 45 because I misremembered, okay? And I'm the one who bought them. So Saint Ides is what the Wu-Tang did a commercial for. And it is a high gravity liquor. It's the first liquor I ever drank when I lived across the street with my roommate. And it is 8%. It used to get me smacked and It tastes disgusting, I remember.
Oh.
It doesn't smell that bad, but it's like a high gravity lager.
You know what else is kind of ironic about this? I think I might be mistaken, but I do believe that Billy D. Williams also.
That was called 45.
That was called 45.
Billy D. Williams, that was called 45.
Okay.
That's where I was confusing the black, you know, so he was doing called 45. Wu-Tang did Saint Ides.
Because I was going to loop it back to, here you go. You got another black individual in nerd culture. Yeah. Who gained a devoted fan following. I just think you don't have to sell out to whiteness to be mainstream. You just kind of have to be a nerd.
I think that back then, like the reason why Wu-Tang was popular is because there's like an accidental adjacency to supremacy culture. It's like, oh, they like this. They like martial arts movies and stuff. They made them more comfortable. There's like a middle ground.
Real quick, I just want you to specify supremacy culture.
I mean, supremacy.
I'm a little confused.
I mean, supremacy culture is what I like to say instead of white culture, because supremacy culture is the reality. Because it's not really about skin color.
Do you mean like mainstream?
Yeah. Supremacy culture is the hegemonic white misogynist male. You know what I mean? You know, it's supremacy culture, and you recognize it when if you're a woman and you're in a room full of guys and they're being misogynistic and you can't say anything. Supremacy culture, right? You know, if you're a black person and you're in the office and somebody does a microaggression against you, but you know you can't say anything because you might end up getting fired or getting a write-up or whatever. Supremacy culture. Supremacy culture is the umbrella term that encapsulates the aspects of white culture, which includes misogyny, because black misogyny is white misogyny. That's the reality. White, you know,
it's white misogyny plus racism and stereotyping that's been amplified and projected onto.
And by the way, it doesn't mean that there's not, like, you know, other places, but like all those things, unfortunately, they all are influenced by, or if they're their own thing, they feed into supremacy culture, which is just something that I think is important. Also, I got from Claudia Alec, who is a person who has been featured at the Kennedy Center, who is an amazing artist. I'm going to put a link for all the things down in the bio, including Followers Forever, where you can go, you can follow your people forever. It is either free if you are involved. It's either $12 for a year, or you can pay what it's worth, which is $75. But the fact that
which is priceless,
you can do it for free.
That's pretty sweet.
Or you can do it for $12, or you can pay what it's worth. And Claudia is an absolutely amazing artist and advocate who always builds community. And I use supremacy culture because I realize that when you say whiteness, that kind of limits and excludes misogyny sometimes, because people only think about racism, but sexism, misogyny, transphobia, that's all supremacy culture.
Intersectionality.
Now, we're going to do, ODB was never thinking about that. He was drinking Saint Ides.
You know what? Why else I think the Wu-Tang Clan was so prolific? And it's because it was a beautiful synergistic synthesis or marriage of two prolific marginalized cultures in America. Because you gotta admit, anytime black and Asian culture links up, good things happen. But art is fantastic. Fucking Rush Hour franchise.
Oh my God, you would say that? Of course you would. Don't cancel us.
Korean fried chicken. Because there was
because black people taught Koreans how to make fried chicken.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly. Wait, like no, there's a historical basis for this.
Also, I think because Asian people have been absolutely marginalized in this country. You know what I mean? It's just that they just, you know, they like black people. They like marginalizing black people. So they pick them and then they go back to us all the time, you know, as well as women. But one thing I want to respect is that Asian Americans have never stopped, seriously, never stopped undergoing that. You know what I mean? Obviously, systemically, they're not passing laws. You know what I mean? So it's shifted, but culturally, Asian people are treated so fucking poorly in this country. And there's something about martial arts movies in particular, because there's the Lost interview from Bruce Lee, and it's Bruce Lee, and he's talking, and he is just talking about what it's like to be in Hollywood. And guess what he doesn't sound like? He doesn't sound like Bruce Lee. You know why? Because Bruce Lee is, of course, an educated Chinese man who was doing martial arts, right? But he was perceived in Western culture one way. So he was trying to break out of Chinese martial arts movies because he felt like you can't run up to people and punch them because they'll just shoot you. I mean, that's the reality, right? But because of the way America views Asian Americans, Chinese Americans especially, but also Korean Americans, Japanese Americans, et cetera, as well as Indians and anybody from Asia, right? They undergo so much oppression, but
and
because
distortion
of absolutely. There was something powerful, I think, and beautiful about Wu-Tang. So I used to sit and I used to watch these tapes of martial arts movies like Wing Chun and stuff like that, you know? And so when you finally see Wu-Tang, of course, it's like, whoa, this is cool. And it's like foreign, but also the stuff that they're saying, the samples they use, the way that the Chinese, Asian martial arts culture is like infused connects perfectly.
Well, and I feel like on a surface level, it can be read as kind of Orientalist, but like that's not even that is a surface level examination of it. When you actually dig into the parallels that are being made within the music and within the lyrics, it's very insightful, and it really draws together the parallels and the struggles of both communities against oppression.
I mean, you know what I'll say is that I don't know every Wu-Tang song off the top of my head, but I do know most of them. I made a whole note here. I've always had ADHD. That really does cause me to have a little bit of a lyric issue. Unless I focus on it, I won't retain them. But if Wu-Tang ever did any kind of Asian voice or whatever, I'll actually kind of excuse it because I listen to a lot of Wu-Tang, sometimes, and they never do that. They use it to highlight and emphasize the themes of the songs. They're not making fun of it. They are embracing it and using it as a launch pad because there's like correlation. They associate the hood with like being in these like small towns, but it's like true because you watch those old martial arts films. It's like gangs of people running around.
It's villages protecting themselves against an imperial expansion or warring villages that people had to develop certain discipline. That's the other thing where it's like they treat the art of both hip hop and rap and the art of essentially self-defense of their urban neighborhoods as a martial art. And that's the way it's reflected, and that's the analogy that's drawn, where it's like everyone, like every neighborhood in New York has its own persona and in its own style and way of doing things. And a lot of that has to do with the way that waves of immigration have created ethnic enclaves, and the way that like those neighborhoods protected themselves from the government essentially, and from other more powerful but marginalized groups as well. Like, you got all your different styles of organized crime that have popped up throughout New York's history. But like in each of those iterations of who is the dominant authority, there's all these varying identities and different things that go on that like create these like microcultures within itself. And I think that I kind of talked myself into a circle.
This guy likes New York. Can I say?
But God, it's so.
I'm
cool.
glad
it's
you
so
said
neat.
that. I'm glad you said that because I've been thinking about New York a lot, and one of the things that makes New York kind of special as a big city is that a lot of neighborhoods, and this is why people get upset about gentrification, a lot of the neighborhoods in New York have very distinct cultures.
Yeah.
Right? Every neighborhood in New York is so distinct that if you're from New York especially, like I know if you're in Pittsburgh, you're like, yeah, South Side. 100% in New York, where I live, is very popular, very well known. And if you go 4 blocks, it's another place that has another distinct culture and neighborhood. And
even the architecture is
yeah,
different.
the architecture. This is a pre-war building. Not all the you don't live in a pre-war building.
Which war?
I know, right? You live in a post-war building, and so, World War II, obviously. You live in a post. You live in a post. No, this is post-war. This is post World War One.
I think my building is pre
So
World War II.
This building is definitely. Actually, it might be pre-World War One because this used to have dump waiters. This used to be dump waiters and an elevator in here.
I got lead in my water pipes. I think.
But they tore your building down a lot. This building's an historical district.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. And the thing is that like it's crazy because when you look at and the thing is like I've grown to like Wu-Tang as I've gotten older again because when I was younger I was a little too young and I listened to the music and I liked it and I was like, oh, martial arts and stuff, but I didn't really get it. When I look back at those old martial arts movies, you would imagine the story. It's like an outsider from comes in, and he goes and he has like a bag of coins and he goes to the banker to get the exchange and they weigh it. He goes outside and he sees somebody getting bullied, but he's going to the temple, so he goes to the temple and he realizes the temple is taken over by these evil people who don't respect the people who live nearby and are being mean to women. So, he trains to come and defend the people. There's something righteous about it. And
because they were still endowed by the power of the shogun to exploit the people of the land. But this rogue Ronin,
that's Japanese.
He's gonna. Oh, you're right. Well,
yeah.
Liquid Swords was
that's true.
sampled Way of the Samurai and
that feudal stuff also kind of similar. Samurai going into the city,
I was getting Liquid Swords and 36 chambers flip flopped and confused because 36 chambers that one samples
it's a 36 fists
from and Enter the Wu-Tang and that one's I actually did a report once on it was a report for I think it had to do with like different sects of Buddhism, but specifically how in China and Taiwan and like various regions how they developed Buddhism in their monasteries and then developed martial arts within those monasteries to protect against basically like government tax collectors and stuff, and how in those different regions all those different martial arts styles incorporated different elements, and that's how you get the tiger style or the crane style, where it's like one you're striking with like an open palm but flexed fingers, and another one you're like trying to hit pressure points, which reminds me of the movie Warriors, which I've quoted to you countless times, but you have told me you have not seen.
Wait, which Warriors?
The one where it's like the street gangs of
Warriors
come out and play.
No, I've seen Warriors.
You've seen that?
It's just been a long time.
Okay.
I've seen it a few times.
But that one's perfectly indicative of that synthesis, where it's like each neighborhood in New York has its weird thing. And like each gang from each neighborhood has its aesthetic. And then you're going through and you're being challenged by each different that's an anime. This movie is an anime, but it's just live action and it's set in New York and it's ridiculous. The Black Dynamite does an episode where
I love Black Dynamite.
That's a fantastic show.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I'm really curious about this. Why don't white people like Kendrick Lamar? I have a feeling I know why, but I'm curious. Why don't white people like Kendrick Lamar?
Here's what I think. Because we would mention supergroups. We had hinted at Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar was the breakout star from the rap supergroup Black Hippie. Now, the other members of the group are still pretty notable, but Kendrick was the breakout. It also featured Ab Soul, Schoolboy Q, and J-Rock, and they were, by all accounts, a supergroup. However, they had kind of formed, like, while Kendrick was on like a real steep upswing, and then the other guys were just kind of coming up into their career.
After Section 80. It was like after Section 80, right during like Good Kid, Mad City, like right when he was having his sharp incline.
Like I think Schoolboy Q had just had Man of the Year, Man of the Year, and but Kendrick took off, and I think, I don't know, I'm trying to draw some parallels here. I don't think white people dislike Kendrick Lamar, and I think actually most of the white people who like Wu-Tang Clan cream their pants over Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
What I do think is weird is how much broader white people like the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. That part is the part that I'm like, something's...
That's because this is my opinion now. This is my opinion. I think that Kendrick is interesting because he makes music kind of for Tyler, the Creator. I love Tyler. I think Tyler is like a top 5. It's crazy. Tyler is so good.
Is he on your Mount Rushmore of hip hop artists?
The thing is, it's like Tyler, the Creator is probably my Mount Rushmore of hip hop artists / rap artists. Why? Because while I don't think of him like that, he has made nothing but banger albums for 5 albums in a row. Who does that? Kendrick. Kendrick's the only other person who's done that. People do not do that. Tyler, the Creator, is talented. He's creative. He just had a really rough growing period, and I think that affects the way people view him. Yeah. Right? But also his audience. Tyler's audience is hugely white. You look at Tyler, the Creator, did this concert right before Chromacopia came out, and in it, it was the $5 one.
Cuomo had an entire music fest.
No, Chromacopia.
Chromacopia.
Okay,
not Cuomo.
Not Chromacopia. That might be in New York soon. And in it, I had some friends who went, and they're black. They live over there, and they live on the West Coast, and it was $5, right? And the majority of the audience was white. When Kendrick did the pop out, his audience is black. Kendrick Lamar appeals to white people, but he only appeals to white people who like black people and black things. Right? While Tyler, he also appeals to those white people, but he also appeals to white people who don't like black things. That is not a fault of him. It's not his fault. I'm not blaming him. But that's the distinct thing. I think Kendrick doesn't mean to be, but his music is just black. And it's so black that white people, if you're not, it's like, I mentioned it earlier, it's about adjacency. If you know black people, right? If you know black people, you like some hip hop, some R&B. The more black people you know, the more black relationships you know, the more you know about black culture, like soul food and certain artists, right? Kendrick Lamar is popular because he's very good. But depending on your personal adjacency to Kendrick Lamar and other black people depends on your opinion of him. If you really like black people and you're kind of progressive or kind of woke, or you really like hip hop a lot, you like Kendrick. If you like hip hop a lot, but like you're a little bit further removed from black culture, you like Tyler.
And if you like underage girls, you like Drake.
God's plan. It's so crazy because
I've always been a fucking Drake hater. I'm sorry. Like, I know it's too on the nose now.
It's gauche.
It's gauche now to be like, but I'm sorry. I had friends in like high school and college who were like, oh, but Drake is like one of the biggest rap names globally. And it's like, you know who has to put the little tack on of like, but globally,
losers,
fucking losers. People who like soccer and are like, well, actually, the World Cup is bigger than the Super Bowl globally, and it's like, go give your balls a tug.
I'm gonna shoot this to my wrestling people.
Oh,
hello, wrestling people.
Get them.
You like WWE, as do I. But one of the worst arguments I've ever heard is AEW sucks because WWE has bigger audiences. That's silly. That's dumb. somebody having a bigger audience doesn't mean that they're better. That's not how it works.
It just means they're more commercialized.
It just means that they have more reach.
It just means that they have a stronger PR financial backing.
That can correlate. It can correlate if you're good enough, but mostly that's not how it works.
Look, you can buy coaches, you can buy producers, you can buy lyricists and backup singers. You can't buy credit.
I got too black and I hijacked this, Chandler. Before we end up wrapping up, is there anything that you know what's crazy? The first episode we went an hour 15 minutes. Wow. Do you know that all the episodes we've done over an hour are so fucking annoying because I cannot easily put them on TikTok? I'm gonna have to sit down and edit a thing, and I'm gonna have to get in front. I might either have to edit them down to be under an hour, or I'm gonna have to get in front of the green screen and do an intro for the different halves because we keep going over an hour.
All right, we'll pare it down. Here are my final thoughts on the matter. I think that white people like Wu-Tang Clan, but it's not white people like Wu-Tang Clan. It's white hip hop nerds love Wu-Tang Clan. Case in point. And white hip hop nerds also love Kendrick Lamar.
As you can say, black people.
Well, I mean, they do too, because Kendrick actually represents like the culture, whereas other artists represent the commercialization of the culture. And that's, I think, the main distinction of like what's commercialized, it all kind of comes down to the way we are taught to consume culture. And I do kind of take it upon myself where like, yeah, my infatuation with certain aspects of the culture might be problematic, but at least I'm learning something. You know, I don't think that's, you know, it's not coming from a bad or an immoral place. It's just, you know, there's some aspects where it's like I could read more Ta-Nehisi Coates.
You want me to give you some black authors?
I can read
Octavia Butler.
I could read more bell hooks.
Bell hook. Oh shit.
But instead,
okay,
I'm gonna read a synopsis on, you know, the new Kendrick LP.
I feel like hip hop is I feel like when it comes to culture, hip hop has a lock on that because it's gotten pop culture and there are pop artists. But as always, it's the rhythm and poetry. That's what rap is. Rap is a reflection of the people who make it. And it changes because back in the day, it was so black because it was black people isolated in the projects by themselves or isolated in their small communities by themselves. But like, yes, Compton is where Kendrick grew up, but like it was a different Compton than the Compton of the early 80s, right? You know, he was a baby.
Observation.
He was a fucking baby during that time. So like, you know, what the culture is changes. I mean, it's because I'm black. Of course it's a good observation. It's my culture. It's so crazy.
Just take the fucking compliment.
I know, right? It's because I think about it, and I think that a lot of people who talk about Kendrick being too woke or black, it's not because they suck or they don't know the culture or anything like that, because Kendrick is not the sole voice of the culture. That's also a reality. And that's a fear that I have with Wu-Tang that I didn't understand the first time that we did this episode. I didn't know how to express. It's not a problem that white people like Wu-Tang. It's a problem when white people herald or use Wu-Tang as some sort of like the epitome of culture. But when I went to that Wu-Tang event earlier, guess what? There's very few white people. So there you go.
Oh. I just want to close up with one more closing statement and then you'll have time to talk, of course,
because I'm black.
Because I'm not going to take the last word. I just want to speak on the actual Super Bowl halftime show in general, because I mean the Super Bowl itself was a fucking.
You know what? I'm gonna leave it to you, and then we're gonna. So guess what? You, as a white Jewish person. We have 5 minutes left. Less than. You have to wrap it up, give your entire opinion, and that's it.
Okay. given what we have seen from Kendrick Lamar's Grammy performances and various other performances that were super politically latent, and like, you know, he's dancing on a cop car while saying, "And we hate Popo, want to kill us dead in the streets for show." That felt more impactful, to the point where, like, seeing the Super Bowl halftime.
Huh? Oh, you mean the last time? Sorry.
Yeah. Not in this show, but like the last any other time we have seen Kendrick do like such a highly covered or highly televised performance, it has been so politically charged. This one was so much more nuanced, I think, and there was a subtlety to it, and it felt a little weird for me sitting in a bar with predominantly white people who were sitting completely quiet while the halftime show was until the "They're Not Like Us" part came on, and then they were singing along, and I was like, I don't know if you guys are getting it. And so, like, the fact that it felt like Kendrick really like was put over, to use your wrestling terms. He was really over by not by all of the criticism that he's had of the American police state, or not, you know, from talking about the disenfranchisement of black people, but from saying, "Hey, I'm going to destroy this other black man's career." That's what put him over in the mainstream.
Oh my God. I literally, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to cut you off, because I'm literally going to hit at the end. We're going to do the thing, because that's the wrong interpretation. But there's the text and the subtext.
But that's what I'm saying. That was the text I read in the moment.
No, but the text in the moment is very clear. The text in the moment is that Samuel Jackson at the very beginning goes, "You need to make sure you're calm. Make sure you don't do too much. Don't embarrass yourself. You're too ghetto." Then Kendrick does some hip hop songs that are up. Then Samuel Jackson comes and he goes, "You're wilding out. You need to calm down and give them something slow." So then Kendrick slows down. But then Kendrick decides to rebel, because Samuel Jackson comes out and he goes, "That's what I was talking about. That's what I want." And then Kendrick goes into "Not Like Us." It has nothing to do with Drake. God damn it.
But that's what I'm leading up to. Was, again, I was in a bar. I wasn't diligently watching. I was surrounded by people. I was watching the watchers, and watching the watchers distracted me from watching the thing to watch. And then when I watched the interpretations of the thing, I was like, "Oh, I missed the whole thing."
I've decided that Chandler, you know what, to be fair, right before we go, right now, in exactly 1 minute, I'll tell you something. I was with a bunch of black people.
I didn't pick the bar that I went to.
I'll tell you something. Everybody was down with it, but not everybody caught it. To be fair, because the sound at Super Bowl always sucks, you got to watch it on YouTube.
You got to watch
it. And with that, my name, just call me James.
And I'll be Chandler.
And if you want to hear more about Kendrick Lamar, now we got to do a Kendrick Lamar episode. I feel like we got to wrap up a little bit and talk about that.
Oh my God.
It's down
I'm
for
like,
this last
fuck,
minute.
did I get gotcha?
Let's go. Just teasing. Of course, like I said, just call me James, Chandler Phillips. As always, remember, drinking is not required,
but it's recommended.
Ooh. Let us know how you thought about the Kendrick thing, okay? Let us know. I'm black. I'll rap. Boom bap. Boom bap.
I'm white. Yeah, right.
I muted his mic. Because there's a thing at the end.